bowlers against the West Indies at Sabina Park and Queen's Park Oval. 158 by Canai really sent our hopes up high. Noriega 9 for 95, the Indian team they still survive. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. Janjurani, Solka Abidali, Dilip Sadesai and Vishwanath. They make West Indies bowlers look like second-raters when those fellows came out here to bat. West Indies tried holder and keep voice. They had no other choice. They even tried with Newton Dow, but a shot at the sorry they bring him now. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. Desmond Lewis, also Charlie Davis, they take a little shame from out we face. But Sobers as a captain, he won plenty coaching before we cricket end up in a disgrace. Beatty here that he became a father, he catch out whole first in the cover. But when Sobers here, he too had a son, he made duck and went back in the pavilion. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all.
Good evening to all our very, very, very loyal listeners. Good evening to Trinidad and Tobago, those listening in from abroad. My good friend from Miami, Kama, New York. My friend from Africa, my friends I should say from Africa. Good evening to all of you. And in Trinidad and Tobago, we are just out of a very long holiday. Well, not very long holiday, what we call a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A very enjoyable weekend, very insightful, and I should say a weekend where we learned a lot about our history, emancipation. Very, very interesting stories were told, and we had some really nice events over the weekend that most of us Trinidadians who would have been here for Emancipation Weekend had the opportunity. Those who went to the beaches and that kind of thing, good evening also. And this evening, I am here as this is the third umpire for those of you who are listening in for the first time. And this particular show deals with issues relating to politics and other issues, relative issues in society that affects us all, both in Trinidad and Tobago, and foreign issues that would also affect us, geopolitics. The last show we did, I think it was Friday, yes, Friday, we had a very interesting co-presenter, Mr. Kurt Sinnett, a former boxer, who would have sat with me, and we talked a little about emancipation, and we talked a lot about, are we still emancipated, or so are we really emancipated? Yeah, are we really emancipated? And are we today, if we feel that in any way that we are not emancipated, and what maybe what we can do, and how we can live as a people to become fully emancipated. Today we have a number of issues that we would want to address. I also have with me my fellow umpire, Ronaldo Rollox. He just walked in the studio, and I would want him to say his good evenings to us this evening. Ronaldo?
Good afternoon, good evening, Tobago. Yes, there's a lot to talk about, there's a lot to discuss this afternoon. We do have some matters of varying nature. I want to give thanks again for the opportunity to be here in such esteemed company. I have full respect for my fellow umpires and their respective disciplines, and want to say thanks to the owners and operators of Street 91.9 FM for the opportunity to interact with you, the pavilion, on various issues. I want to thank God for life and the ability to share and communicate. Some people didn't make it to today, but we're here and you're here. You're here as the pavilion, and we are here as the umpires. And you know, I've been watching some cricket lately. You know, some people say, well, your belly like goat, ram goat, to watch that cricket. But such is it, you know. I mean, in the good times and the bad times, you're a supporter. I don't see you being an West Indian and being an Australian supporter. You may like the Australian team and the, you know, but when the Australian team looking for support, they can't count you. They're not calling you.
Right.
So, geographically, you are a West Indian supporter. You know, culturally.
And that's who we are to support.
And that's who we are to support. And that is in it, you know. That is the luck of the draw. But, you know, we had a nice victory the other day, but maybe that celebration was short-lived. Some people say we started to rejoice too soon. And we lost the last T20 to Pakistan. No, I don't mind losing, you know. It's the manner of the loss that does really, you know. I don't mind losing. I don't mind you, a man hitting the ball and he get catch out. But if 6 ball pass and a man can hit one, I have a problem with that. I do have a problem with that.
I hope that don't happen with this. Who in the wicket here now?
Who's in the wicket today?
Well, our fellow umpire, who is not here today, he will be here tomorrow.
Yes.
He said that the man who facing right now is Trade.
Trade.
The Minister of Trade. And for those listening and those listening for the first time, we use the metaphor of the cricket to as part of the administration of the show. So the team that is in the wicket at the moment is the government, not the government, but the UNC-led administration. And of course, the PNM, who is in opposition, they are the fielding side. So we examine the politics from using the cricket metaphor, and so we say that the team that is batting, and in this case the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Trade remains that person, and we sometimes interchangeably on our water break we will have the Minister of Education or the Minister of National Security, or who we call Homeland Security. So today we have a number of issues to discuss, and
well,
but I want to start. I think we should start with the ASJA matter.
Right. So let me give our listeners a little background, and listeners, the pavilion, we are getting used to this match now. So please listen to the context of the discussions, and let us try and bow line and length. Let's stay within the confines and the context of the discussions. And when you do call, please answer the question posed and keep it on topic, so that we could have a healthy exchange and the listening audience will be well appraised of, and not that way all over the place. So, ASJA says that it intends to appeal the recent court ruling against one of its schools, that's ASJA, regarding strict penalties for students caught cheating in exams. In a media statement on July the 30th, the association warned that the recent court decision raised public concern and discussion on how schools are managed nationwide to keep discipline. Schools will become unmanageable if this is allowed to stand, the statement said. So let me give you the background. The case involved a then 12-year-old student from ASJA Girls College in San Fernando and her father's legal challenge against disciplinary action taken by the school. The High Court ruled in favor of the student. It dismissed an application by the school's acting principal, the college, and the ASJA Educational Board of Management to set aside permission for judicial review. ASJA recalled that the case involved how the school's administration disciplined the student caught cheating and whether the school's disciplinary process are subject to the court's judicial review. It is therefore a matter of public interest and importance, which will have a widespread effect on the implementation of disciplinary measures against students who have been found guilty cheating in exams, the statement said. ASJA's position is that the day-to-day management of its schools, and for that matter all schools across Trinidad and Tobago, lies in the hands of the principals and members of staff as permitted by the Education Act and the National School Code of Conduct. ASJA's position is that this aspect of schools administration ought not to be so fettered and or at the mercy of any parent who does not want his or her child to be disciplined or subject to the rules applicable to every other child. The statement added, one can ask with significant force, if school administrations start watering down disciplinary actions to satisfy disgruntled parents, what would happen to school discipline? Where would that process end and take us as a country? This is not an ASJA issue or even a denominational issue. It affects each and every school and how the principal is to manage and run their school on a day-to-day basis and implement disciplinary measures for cheating in exams. The statement said, based on the judgment, the child's father did not dispute that the child was caught cheating. If the courts are to intervene in everyday decision making by school administrators when parents disagree, it is the view of ASJA that all schools will become unmanageable and uncontrolled by the views of every disgruntled parents, the statement said. This would lead to a situation where no principal would want to make a decision for fear being dragged through the courts. ASJA highlighted that this cannot be correct or good for the already strained education system and the levels of school in discipline. It said children learn and adopt patterns from adults and school administrations. Therefore, when it comes to zero tolerance for indiscipline and cheating, this ought to be supported and not attacked through the courts on social media. The the statement said. We do note with concern the attacks on social media against the principal involved in this matter and urge those people to cease such personal and undignified statements. The principal, like every other person, is doing her job. Let me scroll down so not to keep the listeners too much in suspense. School administrations across TNT ought to be supported by disciplinary and have disciplinary actions, including strong deterrence for cheating, and ought to be strengthened, not attached, not watered down, because of the parties involved. Part of the school's penalties included awarding, this is the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
Part of the penalties included awarding 0 marks for all remaining exams that term, and marking her permanent record with a bad mark, and the comment caught cheating in exams.
All right. So what before we allow callers to call in, let's analyze this whole thing, right?
Yes.
So my view is that every case, everything that happens with you in life, everything that you feel aggrieved by,
Yes.
you have, as a citizen, you have due process and you have the right to challenge it or not, right? So this is what we're going to be saying here is not to say that someone, a citizen, or someone feeling aggrieved by a decision taken by a public official or a school or anyone does not have the right or should not have the right to challenge the decision in the court. That's why we have courts. So to say that it shouldn't be challenged or it must not be challenged, I think it will be unfair to persons who may have issues in the past, and in the last paragraph of what you read in terms of what was the crux of the matter, what was the discipline applied to the situation of cheating, you said part of it was 0 marks for the rest of the term. I don't know if there was something else that the parents would have felt aggrieved by that would have taken us to the point where, or taken the parents to the point where, or the court to the point where it felt that it went to the root of the parent rights and therefore ruled in favor of the parent, and also denies the parent the ability to judicially review the decision. That is something that we would want to look at also, right? In terms of the message it sends, I mean, cheating is like a death penalty. Cheating is like murder in the school system. If you remember when you were going when you were at the University of the West Indies, if you were found to be plagiarizing, right, you go to the principal and they could get expelled for that, for something like that, because that's a serious thing. That's intellectual dishonesty. So I would like to hear what I understand what the school is saying. I'm not too sure what the full issues in the case was, why the parents would have felt the need to challenge the decision of the school. But I don't know, what is your position?
Well, clearly there are some things that I think every citizen should understand. Mm-hmm. Every entity. And it has to do with basic principles of law and order in society.
Yeah.
1, no right is absolute. None. Mm-hmm. Every right that anyone has, be it individual or state, can be abrogated.
Yes.
Depending on the circumstances. Mm-hmm. And they're not mutually exclusive either. So, in my view, the court's intervention does not in any way disarm the principal from running the institution.
I say so too.
actually, what it does on the positive, it sets boundaries for such power, because we have enough examples in society of the abuse of power, and power used according to the law disproportionately. A disproportionate use of force is equal to an offense of its own. So the argument that principals will not be able to run schools if parents take the ministry or boards to court, I do not think that is a credible argument at all. As a matter of fact, I am for testing the system. Good. And if the parent can test the system, the principal can test the system too. But nobody is saying no. But I disagree with that particular view, that particular stand, and the cry of the article, which suggests that, you know, principals should gather themselves collectively and organize themselves against school decisions being reviewed by the court.
Right. But on the other hand,
Okay.
and this is the bad for the principal, and the statement that it would in some way send a message to parents that you are to challenge the disciplinary systems of schools. I think all things being equal, and if we were to take just what we read, there must be a way to punish a student or to take action, disciplinary action against a student who is caught cheating. And not doing so or not being able to do so sends the wrong message. Now we have all kind of things that could allow for students to cheat. I was referring to the Stanford research that on AI that was done, which shows that most of the students who use AI to write the paper didn't know nothing about the paper after a few days, right? If they were asked to rewrite the paper without AI, they could not have. And that's a very real research. That's a really real decision coming out of the research, and the thesis there rings very, very serious for the discussions we have in here, because it means that cheating, if we allow cheating to prevail in the school system, we will have a different kind of student, and we don't really want that.
Well, that argument turns on the point that disbarring a student from all exams is the only way to punish them for cheating, and I disagree with that as well. Right. As a matter of fact, for me, you know, as an educator, as I matured, my views changed on punishment. As I matured, we came from the whip whap era, right?
We just celebrated had a celebration that ended an era of that.
Yeah, we that is the discipline we knew, right? So you got caught cheating, you might go and get strokes. You'll get cane, and maybe even thrown out. Education, however, is an intrinsic right. I do not believe that barring certain extreme things, which include acts of violence and those things like that, I do not believe that the same thing we're trying to provide should be used in a punitive way for the child. There are other things we could do. So I am agreeing with the school to punish the student. Punish the student, and that student should be punished. The school opines that the best punishment is to bar them from all the exams. So you do
not necessarily bar them, but get them zero. I remember. I I was the beneficiary of a decision like that. I remember one time I was doing an exam and my phone rang in the exam. That allowed me to finish do the exam and then they give me 0 for the paper. And I find that that was when I say, okay, so this was in the era when they didn't tell you leave your phone outside. This was in the era where they tell you take off your phone.
Right.
My phone remained on for some reason. I took it off, but the alarm went off. And they took it as a ring. And they allowed me to finish the exam. And this was in a government university. They allowed me to finish the exam, and then couple weeks after I realized I failed the paper, and I didn't understand why I allowed me to finish the exam, because I did a very good paper. But I don't know.
I fail to see the value of the buying the child from exams for punishment in cheating in an exam. Even if you tell me, I take your paper. So for instance, I teach language. You got caught cheating in my exam, I take your paper. You know, caught cheating in an exam. Right?
And what, you put caught teaching an exam on
I can put that
on your report?
I could put that.
But
this action says.
But isn't that, wouldn't that be worse than giving the person 0 for all your other exams? In the
how that could be worse? What about your English exam? What about your bio? You cheat in bio? No.
Well, we don't know if you're caught cheating in this one. You probably was cheating in all.
No.
I don't know.
I do not agree with that type of. I think that's a repressive approach for education. There are other times where it might be justified or justifiable. But I feel for education, you get cheating in maths. You and your maths teacher will have to work it out because you got cheating in maths. You got caught cheating in maths. You got caught cheating in PE. You got caught cheating in bio. Fine. To deny you the opportunity to write all other exams, for me, one, where do you get to show to me that you've learned your lesson if you have no exam to write? How do I ensure that you've learned if you have no exam to write?
But they said among the penalties, or one of the penalties, was 0 for the rest of the exam. What were the other penalties?
Well, I don't know what could be more egregious than that. It didn't say. But I think that from a parent point of view, that's why I think the article said, it did say, it was not in contention with the father that the child was caught teaching, which is an honest approach. I didn't say my child didn't cheat.
So she challenged really the penalty and not necessarily the fact that
remember what we do. We argue.
But we argue on both sides. We argue on both sides.
That's true. But
we
argue
come with that case, we taking it too.
Right. But we argue that certain decisions made by the employer are harsh and oppressive and contrary to good industrial relations practices. So we cannot deny, and we just cross into the metaphor here, an employer's prerogative to discipline a worker.
Right.
You have to run your organization.
Right. And the court didn't say that.
And the court didn't say that either. However, what the court says, like as I just repeated at the beginning, no right is unfettered. There's due process. There's natural justice. Good? There's
in other words, you can't caught me stealing mangoes and send me to the gallows.
Correct. Correct. And I find that, I mean, in my opinion, whether the child should be punished is not the question, because there should be a strong message sent for stealing, for cheating.
Because if that is it, then in my opinion, that is a really bad message the court sent to the public. I mean, if that is it, that would be a message that sends to the public that the principal doesn't have the authority to punish or administer discipline in the schools. And And that is what the article seems to be insinuating.
Well, remember, it is not the first time the court has had to intervene in a decision made in the schools. One, let us put into play the decision with graduation. And denying children using graduation as a form of punishment. Not that they shouldn't be punished. Then let's look at cases involving, there was one particular one where parents took a principal took a child's cell phone. We know the definition of a theft.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Appropriating. You know? Something belonging to another. Just paraphrasing.
Yeah.
For easy reference. And the court has had to instruct principals. You see that property that you took? You have to return it. Now the definition of theft says permanently. You know?
Or with the intent.
Right. But you just take it from the child for the day or for the period to teach the child a lesson, to give them it back. Some principals say, you know, we went to school, you ain't getting it back. You ain't getting it back because we want to teach you a lesson. And you find that right. This time the child ain't buying no phone. That's my phone, sir. That's my phone. The only reason why a child have a phone is because of the times we live in and communication with children, etc.
When school ends, you want
correct,
to be able to
drive on, etc., etc. That has become a necessity. That's not a luxury anymore.
Right. But children sometimes use it.
They abuse it.
And abuse it.
So what we have to do, Mr. Matterson and Pia Matterson, is that is the teachable moment. That is the teachable moment. And I am saying that student needs to be taught that cheating is wrong, cheating is unhealthy, and cheating has consequences. That is not the discussion we're having. The discussion we're having is whether debarring the child from all the exams does more harm than good.
What about when you was at the university? When you was at university and intellectual dishonesty, plagiarizing, and the penalty? Remember what the penalty was for that was? You didn't only used to fail the exam, you had to go and see the principal.
And why you have to go and see the principal?
You was dishonest. You could get expelled.
So up to that, that was the maximum. That's the maximum. Do you see that punishment in this case?
I think there were persons who would. I think if my memory serves me well, I remember a student did get expelled for intellectual dishonesty at one time, because that's a serious thing.
It is. Cheating of any kind is a serious nature. That's not the discussion. The discussion is, what do you take?
So you are saying that the school went out of the remit.
In my view.
And the court, that's probably the court view too.
In my view.
To go outside of the cheating, the position of cheating,
and take an absolute decision
to deny the student marks for the other exams that she would have written.
And here's the thinking. You have just said to me, I cheated in French, most likely I'm going to cheat in all the exam. So the punishment for cheating in all the exam.
Let me hear
what I didn't write.
Let me hear what the public had to say about this.
Let's see.
Right?
So we're going to ask our callers, do you find the decision to debar the student from all exams extreme? You find it justified? Tell us.
Because some will say, and they could probably tell them the number, but some will say that it sends a message, and it's maybe you need to start there as in the schools to send a message to would be criminal activities down the road and that kind of thing. I mean, people see things in a very abstract way, and sometimes they're right to see it that way. I mean things evolve, but the court has to do what the court has to do also, and that is to protect people of their natural rights.
So you can call us on 342-0081, 466-5391, and tell us, do you think the action by the board, the school management, to debar the child from all exams based on cheating in one exam to be a fair consequence for her actions? Call us and tell us whether you support that view.
Or do you think the decision of the court sends a message to the schools that they aren't able to manage in the way, they don't have the prerogative to manage in ways they see fit to get the best outcome in the education?
Well, that is obvious, because the court has said, no, we will decide. Remember, I don't understand how that defense argument will be made, because this is your state. You're part of a government, you know. It's the Ministry of Education. You're good, so you're subject to laws. So you can say it's not.
Think it is subject to laws.
Yeah, and your very power exists by virtue of the Education Act.
Yes.
So you can say it can't be before. I don't understand that. Maybe go and sell papers.
Hence the reason why the court denied the judicial review.
Correct. So 3420081 callers and 4665391. Tell us, will you find that the decision to debar the student from writing all exams to be injudicious, harsh and oppressive, and contrary to good educational values, or you find it quite appropriate? You'd have banned her for life. She would not be able to write an exam till she's 50 if it was up to you. Call us 3420081 4665391. We await your comments and your views.
Yeah, but the thing is, people are entitled to. I mean, I listened to I read the article, and in some ways, because I don't have all the facts, in some ways, I feel that that the concerns expressed by the public and some of the other school principals might be in some way justified. Because in their opinion, they should have the prerogative to manage the schools.
Unfettered.
And that ruling in some way stymied that.
Callers, Pavilion.
We have a caller. Let's take this caller. Good evening, caller.
Interesting topic. I find the court is right that the child should not be allowed to, or the student should not be allowed to do the exam, whatever penalty. Let me tell you something. Studying is for people who study. I have studied. It's a very hard thing. A lot of sacrifices where people, as they say, jamming you under the cover of your book. Right? And for another student to looking for an easy way out. That's not fair. So I'm saying, I don't know the strictest penalty, but the strictest penalty should be administered in this instance. It's very, very unfair for the other students. So that is what I have to say on that.
So you are agreeing with the principal?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of persons who would agree with the principal for the reason, for the case that you put forward. I mean, people really studying hard, people jamming whole semester, and you just come and you just pick up a piece of paper. And
but the issue is, caller, the issue is not to avoid punishing the girl, you know. The question before in the discussion here this evening is if an absolute ban from all exams goes far beyond what is proportional for the offense that she may have committed. So she cheated maths exam, right? What the school did, they banned her, well, it's alleged, from all exams, not just math.
I agree with that. I'm saying wherever the 100% punishment, as they say in psychology, every stimuli must have a response, and that is not fair to other students. Studying is a very difficult thing for people who study. I mean, there are real brilliant students who in terms of timing, they may be able to be more co-ride were going on, but there were other students who struggle. Yeah. So I am supporting the fullest punishment.
Okay, caller, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you see, again, what we have here is we have society looking at what the reflection of a decision like that could mean and how it will affect other students going down the road. And that too is valid in my opinion. But I get it that we are looking at the school in the opinion of most people went outside of its remit to interfere with other exams for which the student was not caught cheating.
And didn't get the opportunity to write.
Right, and that too is an issue.
And that would be my issue. My issue will not be that you got caught in maths, take your paper, you get 0 in maths, if that is the penalty. But you got caught cheating in maths, and French, Spanish, English, social studies, geography, history, science, and PE, you get 0, automatic 0. Now, we have to understand that we do have within us, it seems to be that thirst for extreme punishment. But it's also very subjective, eh? It's also very subjective. Because even as a society,
but I mean,
we want a deterrent to crime. But when police act, it's problems. If you ask people about the death penalty, they will tell you the death penalty don't solve crime. What do we want? So a child needs to learn a lesson about not cheating. Okay? You take the paper. Okay. I remember some people minus marks. What happened to that? What happened to that?
Yeah, but that too would be arbitrary because I mean, how you know how much marks the minus?
Well, let's work out a system. It doesn't matter. It's not the degree of cheating or you're caught cheating. Good. I have done exams already. Well, where if there are anything issues like that, you can't get more than half. So you're working with that. You have to pass 50. You have to get all correct then to get 50.
To get a C.
Good. You understand? There are different methods. What I disagree with is that I get to do my science yet, you know. And my geography.
No, but I mean,
I find that's disproportionate.
Right, okay, but at the higher levels,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that how it happens, boy? At the higher levels, they get called intellectual dishonesty is a crime.
No, I could understand why in UE that's a crime. Because I think the expectations of a UE student are a little different than a school child. I'm not trivializing the
So
act.
you're going in knowing that, you're going in first knowing that.
Yes. I think
If
UE...
you plagiarize, you can get kicked out of university.
Yeah, I think the expectations of a UE student are a little different.
Let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening. I just like your goodly self, I'm not familiar with the facts, all the facts in this matter. But I suspect that the question here is one dealing with the severity, and maybe those are the issues, whether it's reasonable, whether it's lenient, and some people are saying, I think the issue here might be one that the punishment imposed may have been too severe, and probably they should review that. I don't know whether, in fact, the claim for or the application for judicial review, I don't know what grounds it was made, whether it was made on the grounds that it was unreasonable or irrational or unfair, or probably beyond the powers of the authority, the school. But I'm saying here, I don't know, and therefore it's difficult for me to analyze that. But I'm based on what you've been saying, I suspect that the severity of the punishment, where you're going to debar people for whatever period, where you're going to not allow them the marks that they would have earned in other exams, that to me may appear to be unreasonable. But the fact remains is that the school has the right to make rules and to apply rules. But the issue is whether the rules are in fact reasonable. I think that is the issue here.
Yeah, because remember in my opening salvo, I said that everybody have the right to challenge a decision. And if you don't have that right, then it makes the system very inequitable. So, if you feel that you have been aggrieved by the decision of the school, and as persons, as you call, I would have just indicated, that the decision might have been harsh in some way and oppressive because by going beyond, right? So, but some schools may also say, well, that is the standard we set at our school.
Yeah.
How do you?
Yeah, but I think the application what may have been made against the decision is really judicial review. You make a claim against the decision.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't have all the facts, so it's difficult for me to go further on this matter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it from both sides, and because we don't have all the information, I am not too sure if I could see that the concerns of the parent was not good concern, or the concern of the principals and society in going forward. Let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Hey, good evening, Empires. How you guys going today, man?
Good so far.
Good so far.
Yeah. You had a good weekend.
Right. Nice one. Yeah. No, I enjoy all the weekend. But you see, guys, the question we're not asking, why did the child cheated for?
Why? People plan to cheat on an exam. They probably feel that she probably felt that she wasn't prepared enough to write the exam, and she came with the intention to cheat. I don't know.
But why is she so scared to just do it on her own to fail?
Well, that's the nature of our system. We don't failure in Trinidad and Tobago is a bad thing. We don't reward failure here for whatever reason. I mean, it should be rewarded, but it doesn't have any. Sometimes when you fail, is a whole cycle. You have to go through a whole next year and probably a whole 2 years, and you might get. You may not be seen in a good light by a family. All kind of different things. Other peers. So it's all kind of issues why someone may not want to fail. But that's besides the point. The point is, she would have been caught cheating, and the institution would have taken a decision, and the decision, albeit they had the right or the prerogative to do so, it could have been challenged based on what the decision was, which is what happened.
Oh, so yeah, because I think it's a little too harsh to ban her from writing the rest of the exams. Now, if she get caught cheating, she could be able to write the exam by herself in her room, away from everybody else, and so it'll be easier.
That might have been a solution, an intervention.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Umpire Matterson, that we have a duty today to get into very restorative and progressive punishment and disciplinary issues. Otherwise, we'll always be reflecting on things like Emancipation Day and the way in which we know punishment should go.
But we have become a very litigious kind of society also, and sometimes these things, I just saying, these things it's unfortunate that the principal had to do what they did in the way they do it. But sometimes these things send the wrong kind of message to other parents who may have the means to do so also. And then it ties up the school system, it ties up the system with all these legal challenges and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, that's a concern also, I'm sure, for the principals.
Yeah, and before I leave, so now she has to go and do these exam privately, right? And what is the cost factor to do this now? Because she needs her CXC results to go forward. So
Well,
she has to do it privately.
well, it have other
Institutions.
psychological, it have other psychological concerns and strains on her and her parents, and they might see it as a win, but society may not have seen it as that. You know, you have all kind of other issues coming out of that. But we going on a break now to
All
pay
right, all
some
right.
bills, so you could call
Go,
back
go.
on the next hour in among our
All
other
right.
discussions.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
question rests not on the fact that the child should be punished. That is without question. And it is without question that the school is able to determine the punishment for a child. However, the state has to make sure that the school, in trying to punish the child, so in school X, when you come late, there's coffee in your head. You come late,
That's
and
a
we
weird
have
analogy.
well, that's to show you how this action is considered. This is considered disproportionate. You did come late. The facts are actually you're coming later every day. Good. And one day I decided to carry out the punishment, so it's carried out. That means you're coming to school early the next day. And that's my problem. But we're going to pay some bills. We'll come back with the discussion about if you find the barring the student from setting all exams, to be able to sit all exams, was a wise decision by the court, wrong decision by the court.
And what kind of message you think it was sent, that was sent to society at large, parents in general, and even the schools in an effort to manage the system?
We'll be back.
Yes, callers, we are back. And we were discussing the issue of the ASJA student who would have been caught stealing, and of course cheating, sorry. And of course you can call us so that we can have those discussions with you. You would have heard our analysis and our position on the situation. Myself and Ronaldo, two umpires, our position are not exactly the same, but they are positions that that conforms with a good working society. So let's hear yours. Good afternoon, caller. Good afternoon, caller. Not hearing this caller at all, boy. Good afternoon, caller.
Phone line wanders down. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, caller.
Yes, sir. Well, cheating is a thing. Well, it used to be really bad long time. But nowadays, I'm trying to understand what is qualified as cheating. You see, a long time in an exam, it called for critical thinking. Nowadays, it's to remember and regurgitate. So, you know, I think I have a difficulty in classifying what is now cheating. Because if there is no thinking to something, what are you really cheating about? Something that you couldn't remember? You don't have to think anymore. They just give you work and you retain and regurgitate. The level of education has changed and dropped as far as I can see. And to be having something like that is a really poor example of preparedness overall. But maybe if it could be adding critical thinking, you won't have to keep teaching, because now it's actually you can't think like me and I can't think like you. So maybe we need to readdress how we teach, how we examine, so we would be able to eliminate some of these things.
Caller, don't
yes,
go.
Sir.
Do you find the school's action to be disproportionate, or you find it to be justified and in keeping?
But I don't read much
okay,
about
so just
action.
giving you the gist of it. The student got caught cheating in math. That's for example. The school banned them from being able to do any exam, all exams.
Or zeroed them for the exams.
They got 0 for all exams, not just the exam in which they were caught cheating.
Okay, is that a final exam? A CXC?
Well,
DC,
if it's CXC, it will not be in the school's jurisdiction, so it will be the school exam. It has to be configured as a school exam.
So that's a term exam.
Yes.
Is it to go up?
Promotional, we don't know.
You see, I think if it's, as I said, if it's a final exam to go forward, it will be, I would think a little draconian, because keeping down somebody is not fair. If they want to zero them and that's a bit, no problem, but not all the exams.
Thank you.
And that is what the court ruling, from as far as I could see, that's where the court ruling, the court would have gone in relation to that that position, the position of the principal in that way. Although, I mean, I just want to say that the education system, as you would have indicated, is kind of skewed in favor of remembering things and things, but there are a lot of, but there are a lot
Let me
of,
give you an example, right?
but there are a lot. Just
example.
now, let me finish say what I'm saying.
All
Listen
right,
to what I'm
okay.
saying.
Yeah.
There is also exams or also questions from time to time in school where it's not just memory question. You are required to write a comprehension, or to write and critically analyze a statement, you know, using the text, or using what you would have read, right? Knowledge from what you would have read. So in which case you may not necessarily have to remember and regurgitate unless that was already analyzed and you're just remembering what somebody analyzed and writing. So there are some level of thinking.
But what I must say, right, the main thing is that in 2020, or let's say 100 years ago, the mode of traveling on the road was much different from now. We have plans. 100 years ago, however, the school looks the same. So how can you be preparing me for the future while teaching me in the past? You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
Nice, man. Have a nice day.
Yes. Right? So what is, let's take this call. All right, we lost that caller. Yeah. What is your position on what the caller would have said?
Again, I find that type of totalitarian punishment very repressive. I could deal with punishment that addresses the issue. You get caught cheating in math, you don't know what it is. But you didn't get caught cheating in all the exams. And to say that sends a message is just the same thing like Peter before Paul. And it's the same message the gunman used when he come and say, well, I can't find your brother, you know. But since you're here, carry this with him. I find it very, very, very not impressive. It's not advancing. And that is a view of, for me, that has to be taken into account.
Yeah, and that is the one thing that, all things being equal, if everything that is said on the papers is made up the extent of the case, or the issue, that is something I will have a concern with also. Right? And any court will have a concern, any court of equity or any court will have a concern with. But it does not in any way, and nobody should see it as it taking away the ability or the prerogative of the schools and school principals to do what they have to do to manage the school, or to manage the school population, teachers and students and that kind of thing. It doesn't take away from the rights, their rights to be able to do that. Because in some way it is what the article is suggesting. And you being a teacher, you know that.
Well, the fact that they quote in the Education Act, if you want to play code the Education Act, I could talk about other things in the Education Act that you're not doing, you know. But you quote the part that say you're in charge. Because that's the part that puts a feather in your hat. You run in here. Here don't run you. Is that 2020 leadership? 2025, is that 2025 leadership? I hear as the boss, do I say, if you don't like it, is that 2025 leadership? You're the expert.
Well, the court fronts against that.
Of
and
course.
we know that. So, yeah, people have rights. And not just people have rights, but you have the authority to run your business and run your school and that kind of thing, but you have to do it in a way that is fair to everybody. You have to do it in a way that is impartial and fair.
And you still have the opportunity to run your school. You can't just run it like your house. That's all. That's to me all that it's saying. That no matter what decision you make, or any institution in this country makes, you are still subject to law. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So let's I mean, if you know other callers on this issue, let's talk a little bit about the batsman in the wicket or the batsman in the wicket.
Right.
And what do you see as issues relating to, because I'm hearing a lot of public outcry. Listen, all they vote for this party, they say when UNC win, everybody wins. And people are saying, well, they still ain't seen the road get fixed yet. They still ain't seen this happening. They still seeing crime. They still seeing what do you have to say to John public as to why these things are happening? And do you think it's just the feeling side creating problems in society that for which they understand the reason why certain things aren't happening as yet?
Well, I think your expectations have to be managed and they have to be balanced. Was it May the 28th?
No, April.
April the 28th?
So that is just about, that's less than 2 months. Less than 2 months ago they've been. And what I would surmise as to the reason why certain things aren't happening the way most people would be looking at. The country running on fumes. And the country running on fumes for a number of reasons. Things were bad before, but we had a budget.
Yes.
And we had a budget last year, September. What usually happens in this country when an election is coming, the monies that was allocated to say run a particular program,
Yes.
most of it would be used up in an election year to feed the fowls, I should say, to feed the supporters.
Right.
And if they win, then they would either go back to Parliament and try to for variations or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
If they lose, the government, the person that come in office, they get catch with the sticky end of the stick.
Yeah.
So what I think is happening, budget is about 2 months away. What I think is happening right now is that all the monies that was voted for in the budget to do certain things, or for which the government would have a certain amount of leeway to do certain things, that to a large extent had been used up. And the government will not be able to operate outside of that until our next budget is ready, or until our next budget is put in place and that kind of thing. And I think the government right now is trying to find its way.
Yeah.
This is my opinion.
Analysis.
My analysis of what's happening. The government is trying to find its way to see where they may have monies that could be used, because I suspect what the government that went out, the feeling side could not have interfered with is recurrent expenditure, things that to pay bills and to pay natural bills, recurrent expenditure.
Yes.
So that you're still getting your salaries and that kind of thing if you was in the ministry or if you was a public servant or whatever. But
Yes.
outside of that, the other monies that were to do things that was discretionary in some ways, that might have been used up in the melee of the elections, and therefore we have a problem. And I don't know if in some way they could fix that going forward, but that happens even with the UNC. And that might be that might be a good reason why we have potholes, we have all kind of different issues that seem to be festering still.
Yeah.
Although the government would have come in office saying that they will be doing certain things that to fix those things. I don't know. That is my analysis of it. I don't know what is yours. That is the umpire's analysis. Ronaldo, what was your position on that?
Well, we have to be very careful and very surgical. I mean, you know, we treat with those type of stuff. We have to be very, very, very careful, because the present batting team has to make sure that they don't repeat the errors
Correct.
of the bowling team. But they also have to be willing to be held at the same standard and higher. Now, that's a very high threshold. So sometimes I don't really like the political argument, well, you asked that in the last 10 years, why are you asking that now? That doesn't really fly in a progressive discussion. So because it happened last 10 years, it should continue, which is the corollary of that argument, which doesn't make any sense. That's cyclical.
Yeah.
That's going wrong in circles.
Because if I come in office saying I will do certain things, well, allow me to do it. And I don't judge me by what would have happened or the mistakes that took place the 5 years before 2015 either.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a different set of people, it's a different philosophy, it's a different idea. We run on a different, you run on a whole different premise.
Yeah.
So judgment by how I operate now, don't have these kind of skewed expectations because I did that before or I was accused of that before. That's what I'm doing right now and that kind of thing. Understand how the system works, understand how it works, and clearly I think if all the things they said they was going to do, the captain on the batting side is a different kind of person. And in my view, she's a lot more sensitive to the issues of people than the captain of the other side, in my view. Right? And I adhere to also the ethical position of the majority, the seeing about those that are in the majority, seeing about the persons or the element that makes up the majority in the system.
Yeah.
So if she is that kind of person, then I can't see they have any resources to do certain things now and she's not doing it. I think it is more about acquiring the resources through a budget.
Right.
And being able to access certain things and then rolling out certain other things that would assist in alleviating some of the problems that we have right now.
But they also still have to accept the responsibility of what they did, even while in opposition. Meaning there were things on the floor that they object to for objecting's sake. You see, the other party always takes the righteous approach, and the other party, in any one of the colors, takes the vindictive approach.
And that's something we really have to, that's something I wish could change in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think this is a good opportunity, and I would have said that on this program on more than one occasion. That's a good opportunity, having 3 women in the commanding heights of governance in Trinidad and Tobago, president, opposition leader, and prime minister.
Yeah.
I think they should probably all adhere to a more passionate kind of approach to governance, and understanding that Trinidad and Tobago, we need change, a certain kind of change that will benefit the majority of people, and to move off of this whole partisan interest, this whole partisan kind of voting or partisan how I should say, partisan administration of the resources of the country.
Yes.
Distribution of resources.
Correct.
And see the people as people. All persons as citizens, not PNM, UNC kind of thing. And administrate or utilize the resources of the country in that way. That will be probably one of the best things that could happen to Trinidad and Tobago, if that could happen at all.
Well, the opportunity is
rife, right? But of course, the opposition leader will mass some corns in her own party, because there are people who are salivating right now and waiting to take advantage of the opportunity at this time, knowing exactly why the government can't do certain things, take advantage of the opportunity to destroy any semblance of explanation as to why it can happen. I see people who was in office who was responsible for making certain decisions, asking, well, all they promised this, while they're doing it right now. And that to me is unfortunate.
And that's the deception in politics, right?
Real deception.
They say it has a morality of its own. Has a morality of its own. But in any given circumstance, that behavior is not acceptable.
It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And the Baton side have to also take responsibility. As you said, the Baton side also has to take responsibility for certain things, and has to take responsibility for governance now and do what it thinks they have to do, right? So anything that happened, good or bad right now, they have to take responsibility for it.
And stop campaigning.
Yeah.
Govern.
Govern. So, but I think, again, probably the reason why they're doing it is because of the same reason we just said. I mean, they just don't have the finance to do certain things, and therefore they had to put up a reason as to why it can't happen. But take responsibility and let the people know, talk to the people. Yeah. And I think they are doing that in terms of the consultations they are having throughout Trinidad and Tobago. But people will understand, especially, I think this particular, outside of the criticism of the diehard supporters of the feeling side,
yeah,
I think this particular government should have a lot of goodwill going still. Goodwill that it could call on to be able to run the country with the understanding that things are not as copacetic as you may think it is coming into office.
Well, apart from those who want immediate gratification and those who are politically motivated to keep trolling the present government and everything that they do and everything. But I think experience on both sides would tell you that that's part of the course. No, that's part of it. But
let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Gentlemen, you all living in Trinidad, right?
yes.
We are.
So you should be aware that Trinidadians cannot handle the truth, and they don't ever want the truth, because this is what's happening. At the end of everything. And you know what they said? You wicked, you evil, you oppressing black people. They can't handle the truth. So you know what? When you can't handle the truth, it's from the general people to take it home, you know. It has some people, you tell them, you know what's happening? I saw a joke with that. The fella say, you know, he come home, when he reach in front of the yard, he bail himself down with a beer. And he wait for a little while, right on his way home. So when he come home, he smelling stink of alcohol. And the wife said, what you want? Well, you know, I pick up a red. And I do this, and I do that, and I do the next. You know what she tell him? Go on bed, you're still nasty, you're going to lie and drink again. But you know, he really was with a woman. They can't deal with the truth. So this is why they get a lie. And they are happy with it. Tell you, everything is going to be fine. This is not the first time. In 2015, we were in a recession since 2014, and the negative rating by Mood proved it. And they told us we will make a windfall. And we believed it. We accepted it. Because you know what? It's easier than the truth. And people continue to take lies because they cannot deal with the truth. This is Trinidad. Remember this. This is no other part of the world. We cannot give them truth. they will go crazy. Have a nice day.
So
Thank you.
caller, good evening. Yeah. So is it that this caller is saying that that the fielding side
Yeah.
were telling lies to the public before so that they would look a certain kind of way? Is it that what he's saying? Because I don't understand. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening. Lies could only carry a government in office for so long. The people make it out after. Very shortly they make it out, and and I think that may have happened in the last regime. You couldn't lie your way out of crisis and crises. That was the problem. And therefore you need to be open, you need to be transparent. Right? You need to communicate with the people. Always the key to one of the keys to successful governance in this country is communication, you know.
Communicate with the people.
Transparency. Let people know what you're doing. Right? Consult with the people. Allow them to participate in the process of governance. These are the things, these are some of the requirements for successful governance in this country. So if you take up on a role where everything is lie and everything is disinformation and propaganda, as somebody say, all you go there and be propagandist, what do you think would happen? It will catch up with you, because people would not, they would not trust you. They won't believe you. After time, they see you as just trying to be deceptive.
Yeah.
So but this government, as a matter of fact, and I intend, because I followed the Prime Minister for some time, and I have some confidence in her, some trust in her. Right? But again, you never could tell. But I hold that trust, and I'm saying that they are running this government on the residue of the last budget.
Yes, we said that here.
Yeah, that they can do very little with. And I trust that they're taking the time off to plan, and therefore when they produce their budget statement, in fact the next budget, that they will be able to hit the ground running. Hopefully, this is what I think. They take the month, I think in September will be the budget, right? And therefore you should have everything in place, all those ministries. I have a little concern with the Ministry of Agriculture. I have to be honest.
Yeah,
I have some concern with that ministry. Right? And we cannot continue dealing with agriculture business as usual.
Yeah. I mean, we are waiting with bated breath to see how the Ministry of Agriculture will be dealt with going forward, because to me that is critical. It's critical that we could feed ourselves and reduce that import bill. Probably, I have some ideas as to what could be done, but maybe I'll talk about it after you come off. But
good idea.
That is the key to diversification. And if you're going to diversify, you have to get them cocoa, coffee. Or I am pleading with the Minister of Agriculture to please come up with a plan. How are you going to be? You have example of diversification and intensification of agriculture. You have Open Alley in Guyana, who is doing a marvelous job in terms of developing agriculture. You could look. Let me tell you something. Sometimes you don't need to invent the thing, you know.
I say that all the time. We don't need to do that. I mean,
you don't invent that.
Just go on YouTube and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everything you can learn right there.
I have a little concern. I have a little concern with the agriculture. Right? And I hope that they get this thing right. And I hope if there's sufficient time to come up with your plan, so you hit the ground running. You see what is happening internationally. You see what is happening with respect to trade and all these different things with the United States and others. Right? They're putting up tariffs and all that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know the problem with Forex.
Yes.
Right? The fact remains in terms you don't have export.
But you see also what India has done to protect its agriculture. In terms of the deal that Trump wanted to give India, India said no, we're not going to let your exporters just send their grains to India when we deal with pure cow's milk and that kind of thing. You can't do that. We will not allow that.
You see, to go forward as a country, and I learned that some years ago in terms of development, right? And modernization and whatnot. The question of ideas, in those countries, those what do you call them, emerging economies or developing economies, they have ideas. They think what Trinidad doesn't have and has lacked in the last 10 years. Thinkers.
No, we don't. For some reason, in government, we just...
That is the problem. And therefore, when you have people, again, we have had people going into various ministries, and it's business because they're not thinking, and they're not thinking out of the box. They just lay back. And one thing I want to say before, I don't want to take too much of your time. You have a situation in this country which, and it's rare, people may not want to accept it, but if you have weak ministers, the permanent secretary will control them, and you'll get very little done. You need strong ministers, and they need to, if you believe that the minister is weak, get advisors, put them to work with them. Don't leave them at the whims and fancies of permanent. I'm not trying to demonize permanent secretaries, but I have seen it over the years. If you have strong ministers, you get the thing done, because you could spend 5 years and then do nothing, So this is something that they have to watch. And anytime a minister tells me about the permanent secretary, tell me this, and this is what I'm guided by, you're in trouble.
We'll talk about that. Thank you, caller.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you? This is our voice I haven't heard on radio for a while, but on this program.
Yeah. We, as the guy just said, we aren't thinkers, but we are talkers. Everybody talk. Now, I don't, expectations are something that, is yours. This new administration, firstly, has to go in Parliament when it's open. Even if we have $1 million, trillion, billion right now, and you want to do certain things, you can't do like you get money and mad. You have to debate. You have to put it out. You have to, So when all what everybody's saying is good in their favor, but remember, the people in charge can't be willy-nilly. Whatever we have to do, it will take time. One of the things people say is they have money. Sometimes it's not that you don't have money. You don't have time. Time is a thing very expensive, right? Time is one thing you can't buy, right? So no matter what you have and what you intend to do, you have to put it out. You have to make sure it's good. You have to pass it in Parliament. It has to, and all this takes time. I'm not saying that you'll sit down and wait because you do things in the meantime, as people say. But wait until, as a guy said, the money isn't in, we don't even know how much money and what we intend to spend for the next year. So when it comes, when I look at Parliament, and that is where I get my answers and think and talk and do what I have to do. You can surmise or whatever it is, right? When we go into Parliament, you put everything there. You'll be able, I hope they do this, and I hope you don't hope. There are things that will be done. If you don't like it, you say, you do, whatever, because it's there. It's being debated. And that's why you have your people to speak for the 41, as I always call them, the 41 people in Parliament who are supposed to bring everything to the table, right? And then we could know where we're going. So you could, talk. But sometimes people say things that we don't know yet, and I hope she do this, and I hope she... Here is now we will be having some tough times.
Yeah.
We will have mistakes that will be made. Why are we fooling ourselves?
Yeah.
Why? And I hope should run. Listen, when you have your family, right? And there could be days, there are bad days, there are things running smooth. You have to know how you are doing once you do it with integrity, and you keep everything on board, right?
Yeah,
But it's the expectation that they come in with a wand and they will spin around the wand and then everything will be glowing. No. I expect hard times. I expect mistakes. I expect they will have, every family has a pundit, a preacher, a bandit, and a piper in the family.
Okay.
Right? And that doesn't mean the family ain't good.
Thank you.
Right? So that is my little thing.
Yeah.
I have good expectations for us, and I think we will do good.
Yeah, right.
As
Great.
the people.
Remain locked on and listening. Let's take another call. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon to the panel this evening. How are you going?
Good so far.
All right, okay. Now, in relation to the topic, I just... Come on a minute, huh? Right. I just want to give one suggestion to the present government where the agriculture sector is concerned. Yes, you hear me, right?
You be listening?
Right. You see all these people who are around Trinidad and Tobago who have a lot of private land what they get from the state to do agriculture. I would like for this government to revoke that. I know people is not going to be pleased with what I just said, but I'm going to repeat it. I would like the government to revoke that. Because here, let me explain to you why it is I say that, right? What is the sense? We have people who have agricultural land.
And they're not planting anything on it.
What I'm telling you, this is what I'm telling you. Here and next thing I get to understand. Now, I don't have the information to prove that is the case, but this is what I heard, and I also don't doubt that is a lie either. I heard that these people and them is getting permission from the Ministry of Agriculture to use these land to mortgage to get loans. If you get land from agriculture to do planting, how you could get permission in order to mortgage something that doesn't belong to you? Red flag. So I am saying that the government should revoke that, and all the land that is concerned for agriculture should remain under the Ministry of Agriculture. Whoever interested in farming, they could get a work from the ministry to do the planting wherever. Whoever involved in dealing with animals, who dealing with the sea, and who dealing with the land. I suggest they should do that and stop relying on people from outside to be bringing food what we could plant. Imagine that we have to be making up our local currency to make up foreign currency to buy things from outside that it is we could grow here.
Not only things that we could grow here, but things that are dangerous to us and increases our health bill and all that kind of thing. I mean, if I were the government, I would certainly make those things very, very expensive to acquire.
Listen to me. I'm telling you, there are things that could be done. And at the end of the day, you can't put much pressure on the Prime Minister to her because she could be trying her best. But you see, people here that want to challenge every single thing. And then if they try to put it across where you say, what I say goes, they go on to challenge you more. This is the hardest thing about Trinidad. It's a nice place. It's difficult to operate around and things sometimes, but there are sometimes when you see you give people certain positions and things and you are not bearing fruit, there comes that time when you have to make a drastic decision. Because let me tell you something, sometimes you have the best people and people just don't listen to them. People just want to do their own thing, and the only thing what they're doing is not bringing results to the country. And as I say, we have an ignorant type of people that when you talk to them, everything is a challenge. And that could be changed, but you have to have the belly to do that. But I will stand firm by saying all of the people who is getting land and they're getting all kind of whatever paths that get where they could go in and they could get different thing on different price, what the government should do is to revoke all these land from the people who getting agricultural land and not use it for the purpose that it has been given it for. And secondly, whoever it is mortgaging agricultural land, that is illegal and they need to look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, caller. You know, I would agree to a large extent with what the caller has said about revoking land from people who... Because, you know, my thing is, why agriculture to me is so important is that I believe that a country that cannot feed itself is not an independent country. If you can't feed yourself, with all that's going on in the world today, a small country like Trinidad and Tobago, with all this land space, can't feed itself, something wrong, right? And you're not independent. You could never be independent.
They wouldn't feed themselves.
So my thing is, agriculture, I'm waiting with a bated breath to see what the government, because to me that is a critical, very extremely critical area for Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time. And if agriculture is not dealt with in the way it should be dealt with, we're not going to move fast. The thing is, a lot of money, critical resources in terms of foreign currency goes out of this country because we allow people to bring anything here to sell as food to sell to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And while you are free to do so, if I was the government, I'd tax that to the hilt and put it back in the healthcare services and that kind of thing. Put it back in the hospitals for medication and that kind of thing. So if you want to buy, say, a soft drink that is just sugar and water, that is dangerous for you, pay $40 for that. The government take $35 and put it back in the healthcare system. Right? And the same thing with everything else. So that is, I mean, in my opinion, we could probably get the finance we need to get to do everything by just using a system like that. Right? What is your position on that, especially agriculture?
Well, you know, I always believe agriculture is a bastard child. And the reasons for that is that a lot of people who have achieved in the business world, not all, have achieved so via distribution, via selling over products.
Buying and selling. Lloyd said that.
By having agency for a lot of the common things that we need. So they have been able to control the variables. And this has been deliberately so.
But they could do the same with agriculture. I mean, we could have some really good agriculture infrastructures here, and not just using the land in the way we did traditionally, but vertical farming and all that kind of thing. And I see that ad nauseum on this program, that if you go to, say, China and see what they do with agriculture and the capacity that they do it at, then in one area, one particular area, one small area, without all the clearance, land clearance and that kind of thing, what you could do even in a place 2 times the size as your house, in vertical farming, you could feed a whole village. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. I mean, all these things are available and we need to take advantage of it, and maybe the government should.
But what you call hiding in plain sight.
Well, yeah, hiding in plain sight. What the government should do is finance small or allow for small organizations or persons to get the kind of finance to be able to get those kind of equipment to be able to do that. And that to me will go a long way. And then create the markets. Because when you talk about trading, let's trade on the other side. Let's create market in places across the world to be able to, let's take this call. Caller?
You see the people who is highly interested in the agriculture, who is willing to do whatever it is it takes. Now you can listen to people talk and give good suggestions and ideas and everything that talks it. It's one thing to talk it, but when time to do it, he that demonstrate, that is the real one who is one should get it to do. Because people can talk all kind of thing and make all kind of suggestions that songs very good, but when you really give them the challenge, there's where you really see where the interest really lies in. Because at the end of the day, it don't make sense people is getting a lump sum of salary to do all kind of different things and you get no results. It makes absolutely no sense. I am saying, like there's people like yourself, there's a lot of people in Trinidad who want the best for this country and they are willing to contribute in any way that they could. It's just the opportunity that they don't see. Consider these people. Consider these people. I mean to say, like me, with the work where it is, I don't see. if I get an opportunity to serve my country in that aspect, I drop everything just to see my country go forward. You know what I'm saying? I just show it, and I show it to a lot of people out there like that. Sometimes if the people they have within this circle, sometimes they're there, but they can't really do it. But the people on the outside who is really willing and had the drive to willing to do whatever it is they think, because I'm telling you, it is very unfortunate. You have to deal with big people like if they share it. Because when you simply talk to them, as I tell you, people just don't listen. And then they have an attitude they like to challenge you. So you need people who could stand up and stand up brave. It's either you're out to get it done or you're here to create a problem. And we have to move the problem if we want to see things go forward. So as I say, I just paying attention and looking on. But as I tell you, this same situation with agriculture, I strongly believe that they should revoke that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kola.
And the whole issue of agriculture is also tied to the issue of land ownership, which we know is a quiet issue in this country. It's not something people don't want to. I read a popular person who we both know have an issue in the next sister aisle for how much hundreds of acres of land. Some ridiculous figure.
Yeah. Good evening, Kola.
Yeah, good afternoon again. I must say we are fortunate to have what Adam Smith called a moral philosopher as the leader of this country today. And all that a moral philosopher is defined as a person who loves to do good for other persons. My biggest issue right now in this land is dependency. You walk through the streets now and people begging left, right and center. And who are begging lying down on the street in all kind of states and conditions for a country that so many millions or trillions, as they say, pass through here. As a green up Epsom salts, as how Michael Manley described it. We have the people, the brains in this country, or the intellectual property in this, or the political intelligence here. People have to come out and assist this government to move this place forward. Right? You ever said to academics, right? Nobody is coming up with no new idea.
No new ideas.
Yeah.
Is that they're coming up with new and it's being kept down, or they ain't coming on none at all? Because you ain't seen it.
No, none at all. No, one of the things in Trinidad, we happen to, besides Guyana, we live in what they call a heterogeneous society. Right? And no studies were done over years about the pros and cons and how we could gel and move the place together. So it became a racial divide, or Thierry Jazan said, a pageant politics. You're voting for who looking like you. Right? And these are the issues we have to deal with. But we really have to get a man like Enrique Cardosa here and do some studies in this dependency thing. Because we thank Jude and well, not Jude gone long, but CPEP and URP closed down. There's a set of beggars all over the place.
But you have CPEP and URP, and to me, and I think it is within their remit, because CPEP, URP in particular, maybe the other umpire that was here before, he could talk a lot about that. But URP had an agriculture program attached to it at one time. I know that.
Wasn't URP, was LID. That was in the narrative, LID, LIDP. The Labor Intensive Development Program. That is what the only. I started working with government in Dude as a checker, you know. So I spent 10 years there, and then I started move out. When it closed, I go and study, and I move out from that kind of dependency, kind of lifestyle. And that is why, but unfortunately, when you are independent in terms of education and things, you do get support from the authorities in this land. Yeah. So I hope, that's what I'm saying. I hope the government sort of call out people. Let's call out people, even if it's a voluntary basis.
I see all them agricultural lands that was like, you're going down the highway in Arangua or something, building something going up there now. I wonder what's the position of that, boy? Because to me, they will add agricultural land something.
Of course, they was under the sugar estate.
Yeah.
Orange Grove, sugar estate, which is where the Panching Bego have. I was a young boy, I went to a school third year. I remember the old Orange Grove sugar factory. I remember a gentleman putting his hand in the barrel of the sugar and asking us, you for months, well, look at the taste sugar. So I visited that factory as a formal. Right? So, but the lid had this, they more tried to develop agricultural estates. So they all in Valencia and all in Beach and all these kind of agriculture, what they call agrarian society. That's the academic word for it, agrarian societies. Right? But after the narrow demise, well, that was it for that. But somebody needs to do something about dependency.
But for those who advocate for traditional type agriculture programs in Trinidad and Tobago, there will still be major concerns because you have predial lassity, you have access roads and bridges to these agriculture areas, you have all kind of issues, electricity, water, all these issues sometimes plague which is supposed to be part of the agricultural infrastructure, and to a large extent sometimes stymieing the whole progress of development in those areas, and those are concerns also. So once we go in traditional agriculture and not necessarily vertical farming and that kind of thing, which might be another way to get us out of it, then we have to also consider those heavy capital expenditure that would follow or that would naturally be part of the development process.
Well, we should do some government-to-government arrangement with agriculture on agriculture with Guyana, which is the closest similar type population and thing to us. We could send people there, and they could send them people down here, and I really wish the government look at that. Another thing is sports. Guyana started to lead the way in cricket and everything. They have their own IPL, well, the so-called IPL, they call it the GSL, right? Or the GPL, the Guyana's Premier League, the GPL, yeah. And all that. We can look at all these things. We can look at forestry from Guyana, right? Because we cannot go on this way, right? A society of dependence and according to Louis Farrakhan, a country of sufferance. and what he mean by sufferance is people suffering in pain and agony. He called it sufferance. Yeah, we have to do better, and pleading with all intellectual people trained in politics, economics, sociology, psychology, to come out and lend a hand. That's the time. Whether you're young, you're middle-aged, or you're old, once you have some kind of training, come out. And the next thing the government has to do is to train people in budgeting, accounting, and HRM, and human resource management,
and financial literacy.
Well, finance will cover all this, all that, right? We need to kind of train people, and if I do not know, if you have peers who not supporting, you do what they call in management the principle of uselessness. You give somebody to perform some of their duties until they get frustrated and they leave. We call it the principle of uselessness in management, right? Because we cannot. I am an academic, and I, to be honest, according to Farrakhan again, I was a victim of sufferance for the past 9 years. My talents were never used, never utilized. So I am looking for nothing. If I get something, I will take it. But I trying to educate people because I realize I sit down here, educate myself, and I have no avenue to
all right, so caller, we're going for a break. We will be back in the final hour, and we will explore the issue of agriculture and what should take place in the next budget. Not just agriculture, but other issues like crime and that kind of thing.
Dependency and sufferance. I want to look at that and hear the complementary.
So in the next hour, right?
Yeah. Okay, good.
right? And if they understand that and they want to kill themselves, yeah, Mike.
And we're back. We're back, and we were discussing matters of agriculture before the break. So we can just finish off with that. And the importance of agriculture to our society can not be underscored enough. So we have to do a little simple logical deduction here. If it is that important, yet we pay little attention to it, something tells me that there's more than meets the eye to this issue.
Listen, on our last day we sat here, we had Kurt Sinnott sitting in this chair. And Kurt Sinnott asked the question, are we truly emancipated? And you know, when you really think about it, we're not, you know. We're not. Because if we have all this land, space, we have all this access, or we had all this access to resources, and today, we still cannot even feed, we can't 25% feed ourselves. Our food import bill is something like $8 billion.
Yeah.
Right? That says something about a country of 1.4 million people. We not emancipated. We not emancipated. We dependent.
Who are the largest importers and distributors of food in the country?
That's something we might want to look at. But if they're not important, then what? We will starve. So there's a need for them, there's a market for them to do that also. Right? We have to do what we have to do, and it starts with government. Government have to put what they have to put in place so that we could understand, or we could monetize the value of developing our agriculture. And that to me is of paramount importance.
Let's hear this contribution. We have a caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Hey, Third Empire, good evening to you guys. How y'all going?
Good so far.
All right, nice. Now getting to touch base here. I believe in the last hour, wrapping up here, I speak about agriculture and the different economic sectors in the country. I only come here for the last 2 minutes. As usual, great topics. The most prevalent topics in our country you guys have been touching on, and I sincerely hope you all keep up on it. Last week was employment relations, and now another one. So my brief contribution on this important topic, are we really emancipated as a people? The answer is a majority percentage no, in the 90%. And the only reason why we hedge as people, honestly, is because of a fear that is put into our mindset that things can be worse. Things could be worse. So you should appreciate where things are at.
Correct.
And not,
correct.
And not focus on where things could be.
You focusing on this, some people call this negative.
yeah, they're telling you things could be worse. Watch this, watch that, things could be worse. But as you clearly laid out, we have the land, we have the manpower. One thing that we remember is that China is always brought up as an example of a country that wasn't really endowed with much natural resources, based on what I've heard.
And the only thing that was plenty people.
Plenty people. Yeah, you're quite correct. Not just through the people, you know, the holistic mindset, the mindset of the leadership.
Yes.
Because in my opinion, they could have plenty people, but not the right mindset.
Right. So
they have grown to.
It was necessary for them to survive. And
yeah, definitely.
That's the position we're in right now. But the only thing is that for some reason, somebody giving us a false narrative that, hey, we surviving.
A 6 for 9, a big 6 for 9, and clearly taken us for comedy all these years, and we as citizens, I mean, is only so much somebody could do to, misrepresent the facts, but you have to ask yourself after one time, two time, three time, things not adding up. And as I close here, China, things are saying they grow to be probably the superpower in the country. I saw this morning India making some strides. This was more in the astrology field where they partners with America to send up a spaceship in the country. Prior to that, about 2 weeks ago, I saw India in some talks with the United Kingdom to provide them with garments and stuff. So honestly, we as a you see the country thing, as a person, I just do the best I could do. Go to school, go to work, try to acquire the best qualifications and the best skill set I can, and just apply myself as a person. I ain't trying to bring down nobody. I'm not watching anybody else's situation. I just doing the best I could do as a citizen.
Thank you.
Great topic. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll listen off, right?
Yes. So, we're closing off with our final topic for the day. The unexpected death of independent Senator Dirup Timal took a heated turn yesterday following a statement by fellow Senator Anthony Vieira that his health had been affected by a toxic political environment and attacks leveled at the independent bench. Timal, who served as an independent senator since 2018 and was the president of the National Council of Indian Culture, passed away yesterday morning in his home at St. Augustine at the age of 68. Remembering him as a man deeply rooted in service, in a release, Vieira made reference to what he had said were the unmeritorious and deeply unfair attacks made against independent senators, including Timal. He said that Timal had told him that such attacks had begun to affect his health. It pains me to say this at this final month. Dio was not well. The unmeritorious and deeply unfair attacks leveled against the independent bench and against him personally affected him. He told me it was taking a toll on his health. He spoke of high blood pressure, of the distress caused to his family by online trolling, and of how the toxicity of our political environment was weighing heavily upon him. He did not deserve that, wrote Vieira in a message of condolences. Public remarks were exchanged earlier this month by the United National Congress, including political leader Kamala Persad-Bissisa and the Prime Minister, and Public Relations Officer Dr. Kirk Mayhew on the role of independent senators for their alleged lack of support in passing the Prime Minister's Pension Amendment Bill 2025. Timal was one of the 5 independent senators who voted for the bill, ensuring its passage as the bill required a 3/5 majority. Before it was debated in Senate, Mayhew stated that the independent bench was being used by the opposition party, given the appointment by President Christine Kangaloo. Following the vote, Vieira called attempts to vilify independent senators as an affront to the democratic principle, adding that statements that foster an atmosphere of harassment and retaliation were not in the national interest. Just days ago, on the 29th of July, Timal also voted in support of the motion piloted by AG John Jeremy to approve the Prisons Number 2, 2005. A quiet statesman, in a statement on Timal's death, Vieira said that the Senate was meant to be a safe and honorable space. As independent senators, we are not combatants in a political war. We are not there to defeat opponents, but to explore ideas, facilitate dialogue, and deliberate on integrity. He embodied a spirit of constructive debate focused not on political victories, but on sound governance, better laws. Dirup Timal was a senator par excellence, a patriot and a true sense of the word, a man of uncommon decency.
Listen, I hear and listen. I read that article and I found I stand with the commentators who viewed those comments as unfortunate. The reason is, I mean, if a man's sick, he and not take care of himself, he will ultimately die as a result, right? And I'm not saying that the goodly senator didn't take care of himself. I'm just saying that I don't know the reason why he died, how he died, you know, that kind of thing, right? So to even say what you say, what he was saying there, to me is unfortunate. In terms of the vagaries of sitting in the Senate and sitting in Parliament, running for office and that kind of thing, you know what it is, right? So to say that you felt aggrieved or you felt it took a toll on you, that the fact that the government was saying that attacking independent senators and that kind of thing, I don't think that's the reason, or that would have in any way impacted on the health of the goodly senator. And as a matter of fact, in the end, he indicated that the goodly senator voted for the bill. So so if he voted for the bill, he wasn't co-host or in any way forced to do so. He would have done so based on his feelings on the merits of the issue at the time, and so to even suggest or to even indicate, I mean that's politics. You shouldn't go in that direction to say that you died because of the action of the government and that kind of thing. What's your take on that?
Well, it is definitely quite treacherous to voice an opinion on someone's behalf in their death. That could be that could be taken differently, you know, especially if your commentary veers more to the negative, and it associates blame connected with death. You understand? Yeah. So it's different to say, I know if Stephen were here, let's say hypothetically, God forbid, I know if Stephen were here, he would want us to have a good time. That's different. You know, people say things like that all the time. But to say that it's only kill Stephen with all the attitude, you know, and the man did really love his job, but he was making the job difficult. That's a different type of commentary. I do not know how close the two gentlemen were, but in any case, I would consider that to be kind of unwise, especially given the context of the whole scenario, which is where it went back. It went back to the comments by Dr. Kirk Mayhew on the quote-unquote independence of the independent senators. And one school of thought is the very way in which they were elected to office makes them extensions of the government. Because the president is an extension of the prime minister.
Yeah. But you would say that in this case, because I listened to the argument, even outside of this one,
yes,
that the president is elected on the prime minister's advice.
Yes.
Right? Or the opposition, the government
in consultation
advice.
with the opposition,
right?
And the advice of the prime minister.
Right. But that is all part of our politics. That's all part of our system of governance. Even that, to me, and I will agree with some of the persons who say, well, okay, well, because this particular president, in my opinion, this president came out of the belly of the PNM.
She was,
to some extent,
she was the speaker of the Senate. Yeah. The president of the Senate. She was
came
actively involved.
Yeah. So yeah, it will be. It might be fair to the persons who say that. But the office is an independent office. So maybe we could talk about that on another time, right? Because she's supposed to be in the Westminster system, or in the system, or the non-republican system. Then she would be an extension of the king or the queen. So, but that's another discussion we could have. But I could understand the people who, I could kind of like understand the position of the persons who would say something like that. But that would, of course, favor the PNM at this time.
The term has been used, they are presidential senators. I've heard it in the public domain. The government senators, that is clear, right? The opposition senators, that is clear.
And then there are presidential senators, in the opinion of those who would have said it.
And the critics or cynics have been saying, then it has presidential senators. There's nothing independent about it. But you see, that argument can be poked for several things in our constitution.
The commissioner of police, meaning
right.
out of the police service commission,
yeah,
the service commissions, well, not the service, we call the service commission, same thing. Most of the persons who sit as commissions or commissioners and that kind of thing, they would fall under that. And the whole running of the government, the whole running of the governance structure, nothing happens without either the prime minister or the president.
Well, you see the difficulty in applying consistency in this banana republic is that things change so circumstantially.
For different people, but the thing is, at the end of the day, the system hasn't changed. We haven't changed our constitution in the way we do things. And if there's any attempt to do such, if there's any attempt to go outside of the constitution in any way, I mean, we are real constitutional lawyers in Trinidad and Tobago. We are real lawyers who would argue and who would put you back on track with certain things. So the system is the system. That's the system we're working with. The problem is, we have to be big people to understand that, listen, we had to work for Trinidad and Tobago. Whoever is in office had to see Trinidad and Tobago, had to adopt a kind of nationalist stand.
But are you suggesting, therefore, that there's no room and argument for reform?
Of course there are. I think, and this has been discussed at nauseam, maybe we should disband the role of president and put something else. I don't know, but of course there are room for reform.
Because you see, it's the same argument we use against the CCJ. It's the same argument where we talk about subjectivity and control. But constitutionally enshrined, we make the argument, well, that's how it is. So the Prime Minister elects you, you elect me, I elect Jim. Who controls Jim?
So if you're an independent person, but you know, sometimes people aren't able to, I'm not saying that that's what happened, but sometimes people aren't able to see why people will operate objectively outside of how they were put in office.
Let me take a comment. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon again.
Yeah.
Good evening. Sorry. Now, could I ask you a question?
We listening?
Hello?
Yeah, we listening.
Why we don't need a president to put in somebody else or to change it. We just don't need a president, right? We just don't need a president. We have a prime minister and whatever. Why? We don't need that. And another thing, like you say, we have to adjust to that. When will we get up, right, and change the Constitution and make it our Constitution? And that is the people has to do it. The people has to do it, right? How many years ago that they had the last Constitution? We don't even use that. A lot of times they don't use the Constitution. Why don't we just get up and change it? I still don't. And we had emancipation. I always tell people and everybody, are we emancipated yet? How we do everything under the system of English laws, English this, because all our jurors and our judiciary and everything is English. It's a Trinidadian. Because it's under this law, this and whoever say. Why don't we scrap the whole thing? What is it taking to scrap the whole thing?
Well, Caller,
and make Trinidad a constitution?
Caller, we believe that they will be able to better administrate justice because we can't corrupt them because they live abroad. So you can't be fair. The law lords.
What?
The law lords.
I am not interested in the law lords. I am interested in Trinidad and Tobago people getting up between themselves and they're emancipated. What? How many years?
Yeah, they say they're emancipated, but they're corrupt.
Who is they?
But
anyway,
they say our judicial system
I don't know.
is too familiar with each other.
What is that?
They say our judicial system, our jurists, they're too familiar with each other. So you might be going down Charlotte Street and you see a judge in the CCJ and you pay him 2 bananas and your case draw off. But you can't do that with the man in England. So
all right, but what I'm saying is, let it be so, but let it be a Trinidadian banana or on Charlotte Street. We're not going to England. We're not going nowhere. Fix your business for yourself in Trinidad and Tobago. All I'm saying is, when will we get up and make that day a reality? When will we take the shackles off of the Queen and them say and the who they? I can't understand that. So the two of you all don't have brains. You're all sitting down there and you could do so much things with the wealth of knowledge you have, and and a lot of people like you.
You have to go Cambridge and Oxford.
Anyway, and that is why, until we build the cat, until, you see, when they were talking about 1990 and things, people don't realize, when you revolt, you have to change. You have to lick down what is there, the whole system, and build a new society or new system, right? It's no sense having revolt and putting back president and mom and all kind of thing.
I agree with you.
And then you know what hurts me?
Yes.
I'm not saying tomorrow do that, I know we have to live with it. You know what hurts me? We have a university, and as this guy says, you have so much jurists, we have some lawyers, doctors, engineers, we have a university, but where are the thinkers? Where are the people? Because all those people we say, name Quarry who made this, what you name this, and they were out of you doing university. Catherine, they were 17, 19 years old when they got up, but and do whatever they had to do. They were little young children, some big horses graduating with letters against the name, and everybody just walking around.
He was called Kafra when the time you were talking about his name was Dave Dabro.
Dave Dabro, I know, but I know him as Kafra and Dave Dabro. But what I'm saying is, they were young. And they could still study. Where are the people coming out of schools, university to think and rise up and start the process? Because it won't be tomorrow you're going to change. Everything will just change. You need a thought. You need thinkers. All our little children, 2 and 3 years old, growing up the same way, brainwashed.
Okay.
Right?
Thanks, caller. Thanks. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Imagine you explain all that to the caller and she don't understand. And she just don't understand. The reality of the situation is with the people from outside, they will get justice. Dealing with the local people, they will get nothing because they know each other too much or they'll cover for each other. Imagine you try to explain that to she 3 times and she just wouldn't get it. When the people learn to do it right, accept the fact that they have a problem and change and do it right, then you're going to see things going forward in these agencies and them. And there's the whole problem here now. There's the whole problem here now. But you see, when people don't see themselves as sinners and they don't see themselves as fault, they will be too busy pointing fingers at other people, and that's how the problem does remain the same and don't change, it just get worse. That's what has gone there. That's just what has gone there. But my boy, you're on point. At least it has some people in the country who understand what is going on and they're thinking. And to try to reconcile that to other people, it's hard. Because people themselves don't see themselves as part of the problem. Who they're pointing fingers at, they see them as the problem and they good. Leave the people and them. They come like the former Prime Minister who wanted to get rid of the Privy Council. Why? Because he thought it was a UNC. Every time they bring a case before the Privy Council see a reason to say, well, no, they call it wrong. You know that kind of way? That attack the Privy Council. We need to do it all them. And go in and get people from the Caribbean. Understand what I'm telling you? Because they know when they want to do the wrong thing, they know who they go to pass the nonsense. They pass the BS as a matter of fact. You understand? But when you have to deal with the Privy Council, they will look into it, and if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And once you see the door pass judgment in the favor of the PNM, they're ready to attack them. That's what is going on. The people too corrupt. So leave them. Let them do the thing. You'll get justice that way. Thank you.
Thanks, caller. So you see, this caller believes that we can't do it. We can't trust Stephen. We could always bribe Stephen. Stephen cannot stand up for morality and he can't be impartial.
I think we're still young as an independent nation. And we are still very, very, very... Yeah. Take that call?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. We still live in a society where we still very adversarial and tribal to the extent that we are afraid of each other, and therefore hence the reason why we have the kind of comments, we have the kind of tearing at each other's throat and that kind of thing for some things as petty as you know, the fixing the road.
Yeah.
You know, we have some kind of Trinidad and Tobago. You know, it was Marlon who said Trinidad and Tobago is not really an easy place to run. And when you really think of it, I mean, you see what people would have experienced in the last 10 years in Trinidad and Tobago, and then you have a new government who is in office for less than 3 months, and you listen to some of the comments coming out at John Public.
Yeah.
Sometimes you wonder if people living in our next place and then they haven't been seeing what has been happening.
Hold on. Caller, good evening.
Yes, man. Good afternoon, Stephen.
Yeah, good afternoon.
And good afternoon, Ronaldo. I realize,
yeah, the philosopher, he out for a while. He'll be here tomorrow. But
yeah, but I recognize that something to you.
He on matters of state.
I just been down listening. These are part of the conversation. I kind of appreciate putting in a little piece of something in it. And good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. Now we started the reform. I'm going about the reform of the Constitution. And then, in fact, most of what people say it's true, but we might have some frustration in because we want to go to Privy Council and so forth. But eventually, we had to bring that home. We had to leave out the Privy Council, and in doing so is where we will be leaving out the Westminster Constitution. If we wanted to be talking about Commonwealth still, because all of that is what we're really doing still, you know. Although we say we're independent, how independent are we really if we're looking to keep on going to the Privy Council? Now, the fact remains here is that I like to put in the piece I put down already, and the lady said, why don't we as a people take up the mantle? And she didn't say organization, but I will put in the part I put in as an organization. This is our problem. You know? Our problem is being a electorate that is fragmented and scattered. Now, for the latest while on this radio station, the best of program I hear is yours, because you are HR. You have a power in this country as far as I get to recognize, because you are the ones even all down in the state boards and all kind of thing. You are the ones who have the proper consciousness of the country's constitution, administration, and the whole order of governance. And it is you who have to bring the pavilion into an organization. I use the pavilion here now because we're going right down into the state of things. It's you who I see, and to what I put out there is to do that. You are the educated one who knows the whole running of governance. I asked earlier to form a 12, so that from that 12 it will get understood by the people, and people appreciating all you already. Or you have to take up a mantle that all you plain, all you don't want to take up, and I'm going to tell you why you're not taking it up, because I told all you that already. If all you keep on carrying on in the colonial state of governance, then all going nowhere. Because we the people, we that just keep on saying slave who it hurts, eat it. Because we are the ones who still suffering under the situation, would like to get out from it. The ordinary man on the ground, he can't do it. You are the people who find yourself on a position lately on programs on the media, which is of this station, who could do it. But then I see all this sitting down and even making an attempt that I could say, well, all you making an attempt to do it. All you talking good, all you teaching, all you helping, I learning, I understand about the boards, I understand about who does get the CEO, I understand about the PS, I understanding all of these, but I still say that we have to take a ground and start to control from the representative of our constituency right up to my knowing, even the cabinet, we should have a 12. Even in whatever board, and we should stipulate what board, and according to what ministry we put in boards in, maintain they have 12 in it, that they could carry the portfolios of a governing committee. And that is what will bring these directors into position, because each director will be holding as a committee. One is a president, one is a secretary, one is a trustee, one or a treasurer. And this is what will bring the directors to order to whatever company they directing or they are state boards of. If we don't carry this, because all organizations start from a committee, if you're not used to the committee consciousness in any kind of organization, then all you really have is a scattered organization. So the lady was right, but you, as I keep on saying, closing here, that you have to take up the mantle, since we so love all you and so recognizing all you're doing and bringing real consciousness. If all you don't do it, then all you leave the place to be scattered, all you. Make up all your 12 and come to me with it. I will say it on the radio that all you make up a 12 somewhere like a caucus, and then all you could come to me.
Oh gosh.
Right. Yes, you must laugh. We go talk that one in the next time.
Yeah, real confidence in me, boy. That is good. That's good. But in a country, you need a garbage collector. You need a doctor, you need a lawyer, you need a manager. Good evening.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, the Empires again. So you know, is there a certain political party that took the identity from a certain race of people?
Explain what you're saying.
Well, for instance, when the independent senators were chosen, one of them get up and say standing order, which was something that never happened in history before. How you could be independent and come up with a standing order? And they shocked the parliament. So is it that people accept certain instructions without question, without thinking? And in our next instance, look the issue with the courts, right? They don't want the Privy Council because the Privy Council has their independence. You can't get in no way to bribe or to associate. You see, the CCJ over here, you can meet a lot of them playing golf and have a conversation on their beers or champagne.
But the caller, the problem with that theory is that they're not. Why go before any judge? Because if your argument is that those quite up there are also susceptible to being bribed, what you leave for the judges down there? You might see them. You might see them in Soca Monarch.
But the Privy Council, you can't bribe the Privy Council. They stand on morals and ethics.
But it will have to take something for you mentally to trust your own people. You can't survive. You can't survive by trusting someone else from afar. How I don't see that as being a long-term solution. We have done that for how many years now? So between 62 and now, we have find no right-thinking people in the judiciary. So between 62 and now, everybody in the judiciary can take bribe. We ain't find nobody who don't want no bananas on Charlotte Street and will tell you, no thank you, sir. Or that is inappropriate. It have nobody like that. That what you trying to say? Because I find you talking confident about the fella up the road by the Queen, you know, like you meet he.
I don't think the issue, Ronaldo, is that of bribe or anything like that. I don't think we do. That's not a prevalence. What I think is the issue in most cases is the issue of ourselves not being confident in ourselves to be able to run certain things.
Well, right? You and I know that as the root issues, but the arguments preferred against the adaptation of the Privy Council as our final appellate court has been the issues of corruption.
Right, but the thing is, because I mean, when you look at Privy Council decisions, right, and you look at most decisions, as a matter of fact, in courts where you have judge and jury and appeal court and thing, with 3 judges sitting, even the industrial court, I think the decisions are taken on the basis of the facts that are before them, and the thing is, in most cases, they would read the facts. I'm not seeing sometimes they read a judgment and they say, wow, how they come up with this way? But understand the facts. And if you understand the facts, you would understand maybe it's a culture thing, how they see things, what kind of culture they want to project or keep intact. To a large extent, as you and I know well,
yes,
judgments, every side have an argument, right? And it is about who could convince, who present it to the court the most amount of information to convince the judges. So
Well,
you will also have dissent. You will also have people who feel that that judge was, that decision was wrong, and the senator next place. That next place happened to be the Privy Council at this time.
right, and you know, and understand. But you see, the thing is, when you look overall in CARICOM, there is favoritism with certain leaders, because in certain instances, all right. For instance, look at the time when Venezuela was against Guyana and they wanted to invade and all that. How could one man in CARICOM have that relationship with Maduro? So nobody didn't find that strange to make Maduro come out from his domain to come in knowing that he has a bounty over his head. So that relationship is has to be a one of very good connection. And this is the factor. Now we say I feel in time we will be able to have the CCJ would be a factor in the court. But right now I believe that a lot of the CARICOM has a lot of cleaning up to do, because there's a lot of favoritism. Last time when the Prime Minister had flown out and he said his name was on a waiting list for Interpol, but he was never detained. He was put there. When your name on Interpol, it has to be detained, and then when you hear from that country, they say yes, his name was on it, but he was never detained. And this is where the problem stems from a lot of things. When they went and they took the guy, the gun dealer, out of Barbados, that you can't go in any other country and just fly in the country and do that. Because it's a sovereign nation, you had to get clearance and you have to get certain permission before you fly into the airspace, but they was able to do that. And this is the confidence that people don't have within CARICOM. So this is why I say
So then, by your own logic, you're saying it is better to have confidence in somebody that you don't know?
For now, because you've seen examples of certain situations that are taking place in CARICOM. And then how you could be confident, all right, let me ask you a question, Mr. Ronaldo. If you have a case, would you prefer your case go before the CCJ or before the English court?
I will do it with the CCJ. Let me take this call.
You'll do it? All right, no problem.
So, Stephen, you see how we think. That thinking is still there. And his views are not far from the common view. The common view is that the person we don't know is better able to expend justice.
But do you think that the people do have a reason for thinking so?
Let me answer that just now. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon. I love the discussion, and I appreciate some of the sentiments that was expressed by the last caller. And I think the only issue that I have with his opinion is that I believe that he is looking at what is happening within the Caribbean and in his own country with a magnifying glass, but somehow the same magnifying glass not being used on the persons from the international court in England. Because if you look there are a number of issues that they have been having for years. And if you really check there, you recognize that their citizens don't trust them either. You know, so I feel like it's a human issue. It's not a Caribbean issue. It's not a Trinidad issue. It's a human issue.
That's a good
and
point
you would
to
have.
make, you know, but
Hello?
no, I said that's a good point they're making there.
Yeah, it's a human issue. It's not a Trinidad or a Caribbean issue. And we look down on our people because we know our own business, but we rather trust somebody, as you said earlier, somebody that we don't know. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know what horse they have in the race. Yes, we closer to home and we understand what's going on here.
And Paula, it is so, you know, these people are not chosen because they are priests, you know. That's the next misconception, you know.
Exactly.
Because even in the U.S., I could tell you before the U.S. Supreme Court, there were issues with judges receiving gifts and going certain places.
It's obvious. You look at certain things and you recognize.
Yeah.
He talk about meeting guys on the golf course and having conversation on that base. This is the same level of lobbying that you have all over the world at all different levels.
And what is instructive is that you design systems to deal with that. There are codes to deal with it. The media doesn't give you a rest. When the media catch you eating your little KFC with somebody that look suspicious, the media has a role to play. But
this is my issue now. I believe that we have to focus on, I think somebody was speaking about it, if it's you or somebody, I came in kind of late, fixing our constitution so that the guards that we have, that we're supposed to have in place, that they actually work. I believe that our constitution was written in a way where there was a certain perception or understanding that a certain level of integrity will be held by those in high office. Right? Right now, we don't have that. We have a lot of persons in high office that lack integrity on the two major political parties within our judiciary, within our governance system. We have a number of persons that basically can come together and have an agreement that we could hold 1.3 or 1.4 million people hostage and do what we want. Right? What's supposed to happen here is if the political arm is falling down, you have a different arm, the judicial arm that will hold them to task, or the Integrity Commission. You have a number of things that's supposed to happen. But right now, we don't have persons with integrity in high office. So what we need to do, or what we need to get done, is some level of reform that will put something else in place that will be able to see us, one, drawing the line so that persons with integrity would come into office. By and large, we have majority persons with integrity within high office. And then if somebody is to slip up, or if we have to get 2-3 of the bad apples coming into it, what we'll have is the system, the policies that we're supposed to have in place being enacted so that we could be able to weed out those. Right now we have deficits. Right now we have one or two. And this goes straight back to our political party systems. The PNM, the UNC, whatever parties, it is very difficult for you to become anything of power within those parties without being, I don't want to use the corrupt word, but without being entangled. It is very difficult to become anything in those parties. You have to entangle yourself. And that is the problem. So once you reach that place of power within those parties, you are already entangled. So then when you reach into government, you're way more entangled. And this is the issue that we are having. We have to develop, we have to change our system and bring it back to a place where we only allow persons with integrity to come into power. And if a few slips through the cracks, we have the systems and policies in place to weed them out. It has to happen in the police service. It has to happen in the judiciary. It has to happen all over. But right now, the only people that can change that is the person that are in power now. And that is it. They love it. They love it, so it will just stay like that. And that is the problem that we have.
Yeah. Right, but you know, while I agreeing with the caller, I think Trinidad and Tobago, what we had to understand is that we are kind of like in the age of enlightenment. So we understanding certain things in a more simplistic, in a more intricate things. What was intricate to us probably in 1962 is more straight and upfront, and therefore we may need to make some adjustments to our constitution, right? But it is not to say that because of the inherent fear we have for each other, because of what we experience as corruption and all that kind of thing, all those things are playing heavily on our minds in relation to the institutions, the systems that govern them, and for a lot of reasons people are seeing or thinking that maybe things are unfair or things are not working anyway. But I want to say also, to be able to augment that kind of change, because how it was set up, you need a certain kind of, or a certain amount of people thinking the same way to be able to do that. We have 41 persons, you need a certain amount to be able to do that. If the 41 could come together, who are on both sides could come together and fix it, and see it as from a nationalistic standpoint, yeah, it will be fixed. But other than that, the system could work just as it is. It's just that we had to understand, we had to start removing all the fears and all that kind of thing from each other.
But to me, it's set up, unlike British Parliament and American politics, it's set up very partisan. It's set up for when I take the hindmost. And when I in power, you in problems. And when you in power, I in problems. And we go wrong and
but
wrong
those say unlike America and the British, it happens. The same thing happens in America. Say for instance, not so much the British, but in America, for instance, I mean, you Trump do agree with something, he don't care what the House or whatever executive order. He could run the country by executive order.
But
the thing is,
no, but not everything goes like that.
Okay.
And at the end of the day,
you have to go to war, you have to go to the Senate.
Yeah, and there are other constraints. He has constraints. Now he has been able to hurdle some of them.
But we do have too in Trinidad and Tobago, the most critical ones. The problem is that we have a problem of trust. And I say the right thing. We live in a system where winner takes all, and some of them go to the extent of that to run the country. And that to me is unfortunate, because we had to go with the time. We had to be concerned or cognitive of the kind of culture we're trying to create one.
Yes.
And do things to suit that.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of the program, and hopefully we'll pick up this discussion tomorrow on how do we create a more egalitarian system. Not that the system is not fair, but over the years from 62 to now, I think this present incarnation, there needs to be a little screws tightened. Somebody can't be in parliament with over 100 recusals.
Yeah, all them things. I mean, all those things.
And
people learn to beat the system over time. That's what somebody think that created the mistrust. We had to go, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow we will be looking at some of the issues and further in this point.